Hello, hello. Welcome to another live episode of Vanished Voices. I'll give it a few minutes to get some folks, see if they hop on. Hey, if you hop on, make sure you let me know you're here. Say hi. Today's case is a really interesting, very interesting case, to say the least. I'll give it just a few minutes here. So today's case is Don Pasela out of Ohio. Just give it a minute here. And I'll share the screen with you guys here in just a second. I know I was running a few minutes late getting started here. Got to move. Here. All right. Well, the thing is, Don Pasela was. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Guess y'all can see that. Okay. Can you hear me okay? So Dawn she was always like really involved with law, always advocated for justice, but she found herself wrapped up in this case where the called prosecutorial misconduct. And the question is, did the individuals around her with all this power take the threats too far? Well, we're going to look at the timeline here. So the case revolves around Anthony Viola. This is what started it all. He was being prosecuted for fraud. So he's indicted in December of 2008. Dawn starts working in the justice field in 2008, and then left in July of 2009, because she started to have some concerns over missing files. So during Viola had a second trial. I guess the first one he was was a mistrial or something. I haven't really dug much into that specific part of the case yet, which is something I probably will do eventually. But I've got a couple others that I want to get kind of start covering. Uh, During his second trial, Dan Casares, who was a prosecutor, and another individual showed up at Dawn's parents' home, claiming they wanted to search for computers and hard drives. But her dad said that no, you have to have a search warrant if you want to come in. Obviously, he did not allow them in. So she starts getting concerned over some missing files that she noticed in the office. Um, she sent to actually sent her wired up to do a conversation with Tony. Uh, and y'all can comment if you want. If you should be able to comment without any problems here. Let me know that you're here. Say hi. Anyway, back to the case. So she sent in 2009. They asked her to go interview Tony undercover, basically wired up and everything. Then, and April 1st of 2011, Tony Viola is found guilty of on 35 out of 36 counts pertaining of his mortgage fraud. Uh, Prosecutors allegedly said that he duped banks like J.P. Morgan into making no money down mortgage loans that the bank didn't permit. Tony was sentenced to 12 and a half years in jail or prison. Um, in 2011, while working at the office as the office manager in Casara's office, uh, Dawn began to tell her mom that she was worried that files were being taken and not returned. She also said that people had forged her signature on certain documents, or when they were taken on, you had to sign out the documents, and people were forging her signature uh, on those, saying basically making it look like she was the one taking them out of the office. Uh, she also said that she thought they were hiding them somewhere. She also mentioned that she'd seen Catherine Clover. I'm not sure. Let me got a picture of her. I can pull up for you guys. Give me a second here. I've got so many pictures and records for this case. It's not even funny. I have a lot of the. So let me see if I can show this to you guys. It's not a very good picture. It's the best I can find. Uh, that wasn't too terribly bad. Let's see. So this is Catherine. Let me turn this one off for a second for you guys. I said it's not a very good picture. She's actually a model, believe it or not. Anyway, make sure y'all are commenting to let me know. So she was a government witness for the trials. She was accessing the files and evidence within the office. In December of 2008, Tony Viola's offices they get raided, and then that's when he got indicted. He's charged by a multi-jurisdictional mortgage fraud task force with wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. So Dawn reaches out to Tony in 2011. Dawn reaches out to Tony. So after he's convicted in his federal trial, she reaches out and informs him of the prosecutorial misconduct she'd witnessed from Caceres and Bennett, who is the other individual involved. She informed Tony that prosecutors possessed evidence proving that he was actually innocent, but they never provided it to the defense attorney. She gave Tony all this evidence. She uh, so Tony, she said Tony, she gave Tony the evidence before the second trial. Prior to the first trial, federal prosecutor Mark Bennett and state prosecutor, that's who those two are. Dan Casares and Mark Bennett are the two prosecutors in the case. Mark Bennett was the federal, and Dan Casares was the state prosecutor. Well, Mr. Casares had interviewed bank executives who said that lender employees were authorized to approve no money down loans and waive underwriting conditions. Both prosecutors lied under oath and in writing, falsely, basically saying that no interviews, they didn't interview these people. They hadn't talked to any of these bank people, which obviously they had. Don provided Tony with those interview summaries, and I don't know if I have those files or not. Let me look. See if this is it. Real quick, give me just a second. That's not the right one. Hold on. There's a lot of documents, and I'm not sure if I have that one or not. I'm looking. No, that's not the one I want either. Hold on. That one I may not have that one. They have a lot of the evidence, but not that one. Let me see. I have email conversations from there's just so many. Okay, I don't think I have that one specifically. Sorry. I had to look because I couldn't remember. I've got a whole file of documents on this case. It's a pretty intense case, actually. So anyway, I don't have that one. Of all the ones I have, that's one that I don't have. So she provided Tony with those interview summaries called FBI 302 reports. Tony used those at his second trial to show that banks allowed and knowingly approved loans, and that Tony had the loans that Tony supposedly had tricked people into making, and he didn't trick these people into it. He was authorized to do so. So Don also provided lender files and internal spreadsheets, which I don't have those. It confirmed the banks were fully aware that borrowers were not making down payments because the banks knew the loans in Tony's case were no money down and had decided to make them anyway. The results of the second trial proved that there was no mortgage fraud. With this evidence, Tony would be able to prove that the banks were weren't innocent victims of fraud schemes, but they it proved no income, no asset loan, and authorized in writing borrowers to receive cash back at closing. The evidence that proved Tony's innocent would prove the innocence of most or all of the 1,300 citizens that they prosecuted. Over 1,300 citizens. So, kind of a background on Dawn. In 2008, she started working for the Ohio Attorney General's office. Due to her computer and financial skills, she was given the office manager position um, for the actual mortgage fraud task force, which Attorney General's office had established. So on July 1st, 2009, Dawn was hired as office manager task force, which was composed of multiple state and federal law enforcement agencies. Uh, so background on, I'm trying to not jump around too much as I'm going through the dates here. But when we talked about she went and was actually wired to speak to Tony. After the indictment, but before the trial, she sent by Dan and Mark to pretend to be a graduate student studying criminal justice, criminal defense, and she was working with local defense attorneys on similar cases and attend a fundraiser. So they sent her to attend a fundraiser for him. She's instructed to record um, what was said and was told to write a check for Tony's defense fund so the Casares could see at which bank Tony's defense fund was being held. Dawn told her mother that she was supposed to continue to attend trial preparation sessions and events at it's a restaurant called A.G. Rocco's in downtown Cleveland that was sponsored by supporters of Tony. But or she why she wore this wire, or she was going to lose her job. So they threatened to fire her if she didn't do what they wanted. Um, so she leaves. So she finally, in June of 2011, she left the working at the prosecutor's office and turned down the request because they wanted her to come back. After all this, they asked her to come back. In March 21st and 22nd, Dawn is subpoenaed to testify against Tony in Tony's state trial. And she was actually did not go to court, and she was actually they actually issued a warrant for her arrest. And I do believe I have a picture of that somewhere. Give me a second here. And I may not have that. Let me look. Okay, I guess I don't have that one. But I did see a warrant that was issued for her. Hold on a minute, and I can pull it up. It won't take me but a second. Because she knew that she knew that they were committing all these crimes, and she did not want a part of it. She worked in the criminal justice field and was definitely not into doing people wrong. She wanted to do right by Mr. Viola. And now he's actually a big advocate in this case. Let me find that arrest warrant real quick for you guys. I gotta find it here. Give me a second here. And then if y'all would like to hear his conviction story, we can go into that one at another time. Basically, Don's considered a whistleblower. I'm pretty sure I've got that arrest warrant. I remember seeing it. There's so much stuff. I thought I seen that arrest warrant somewhere in these files here. Maybe it's in this one. Well, anyway, they issued a warrant for her arrest for failure to appear, basically. Uh, that's basically what it sums up. After learning that Dawn had been subpoenaed to testify for Tony, for Tony, not against Tony, I apologize. Casares told Viola to remove Dawn from his witness list and threatened Dawn with indictment. So this is still in March of 2012. Um, Dawn basically was threatened indictment prosecution if she testified. Uh, Arvin Clark and Dan Casares went to Dawn's apartment on multiple occasions to threaten her with prison because, according to statements, she violated the confidentiality agreement she signed with the Ohio Attorney General's office when she contacted Viola to provide him with exculpatory, I cannot talk today, evidence. Then in still in March, that's when they went to March of 2012. That's when they showed up at her parents' house, basically asking for all these computers and these laptops, uh, looking for evidence. Uh, then they actually went to, when they started showing up at Dawn's apartment, um, March of 2012. She was feared for her safety. She left her apartment, stayed at her parents' house for about 10 days. While with her, apparently Dawn did drink quite a bit, but while she was at her parents' house, she was not drinking at all. Then she returns to her after a little bit of time. She feels like, okay, maybe it's safe. So April of 2012, after the 10 days, she goes back to her own apartment. Dawn doesn't. I guess she was supposed to appear on. Dawn doesn't appear in court to testify as scheduled, prompting Judge Gall to issue a bench warrant for her arrest to compel her appearance, and that was April the 18th that she did not appear in court. The the subpoena was issued in March for to testify in April. So April the 23rd, Dawn contacts the judge and says that she's afraid to appear and that she was threatened with arrest and imprisonment if she came to court. And because the court had ordered closing arguments, no further testimony was permitted, and the court recalled her warrant. So while visiting Dawn's apartment, Ed and Karen, who are her parents, dumped out all the alcohol in the house to protect Dawn from drinking too much. They were worried about her. They were concerned about her mental health, considering everything she was going under. She was pretty stressed out. Uh, Cell phone records show around 4:39 a.m. on April the 25th, there's an outgoing call on an unknown phone. Cell phone records indicate it was an outgoing call placed on a silver Samsung flip phone, which with an unknown owner, and that, like I said, that was on the 25th at 4:39 a.m. There's so much to this case. I'm sorry. That day, her body was later discovered by the Parma, Ohio Police Department, and it's suspicious considering her time of death was roughly 18 to 24 hours before this call was before her body was found. Um, at 5:44, her dad had not heard from her because she hadn't appeared in court, hadn't been in contact with her family since the day before. Her dad asked for a welfare check. Uh, After arriving at Don's apartment and not receiving, she didn't come to the door. He couldn't hear anything. Six police officers showed up, even though two officers is the standard number for welfare checks. So to me, they already kind of knew something was going on here. So at 6:15 p.m., remember that call was made at 4:39 a.m. At 6:15 p.m., she's found deceased, and her family wasn't allowed to identify her at the apartment. The officers who respond to the welfare check discover her body inside. They said she was deceased with signs of lividity. I cannot talk. I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know what I'm saying. Indicating that she most likely was dead 18 to 24 hours before the police showed up. So we're looking at around 6:15 on the 24th. So between 6:15 ish on the night of the 24th and 1:15 a.m. on the 25th. So somewhere in between that time is her time of death. So most likely she died on the 24th, but no member of the family was even allowed to go see her or identify her body while she was still in the apartment. After leaving, of course, her dad had contacted his wife and uh, tells her what happened and that was found deceased. At the same time, their other daughter, Dawn's sister Christine, arrived at the apartment, at Dawn's apartment, and police also told her, "Hey, you're not going to be able to go in to identify her." Hours on that same day, public records did produce that by the city of North Royalton indicate that Mr. Casares disposed of his laptop on that day. For some reason, we don't know why. So on that evening, the family calls the coroner's office. That was the night of the 25th. Um, after hours after the death and well before toxicology reports or the coroner's investigation was even done, Casares informed Judge Gall that who was presided over Tony's second trial, that Don passed away from an overdose. Well, there was no reports or anything from the coroner. Uh, Don's death was initially attributed to an alcohol overdose with a blood alcohol content of 0.59, followed a cursory autopsy and a police investigation that failed to interview a single witness. Not one witness was interviewed. Her cause of death is deemed as an overdose with the manner as undetermined. I don't get that, but so let's see here. Let me get y'all to the next slide here. More of the timeline. Okay. Hold on here. I'm hitting way too many buttons. I don't know what I'm doing. Um, so Tony was acquitted on April the 26th of 2012. Um, like I said, there's so much to the story here. I'm trying to make sure. changed your slide, but my notes are on this slide. But as long as y'all are saying the right one, that's all that matters. Let me go back to where I was. So Ed, her father, like I said, he called the coroner's office requesting to see Don's body. Okay, which that's normal. I mean, if someone deceased and everything, they usually do have the family come in, and they do have them come in and identify the body. So that was not anything uncommon that he called and asked for this. So when the coroner calls him back, I guess he wasn't there. He had to leave a message, something. We're not quite sure 100% what happened with that phone calls. They're adamant that the family does not come and see Dawn. They said the family would not want to remember her the way she looked, and that she looked bad. The family is told to wait to see Dawn at the funeral home. Okay, well, that makes no sense. Like, that's not anything that's uncommon. Like, normally, if your loved one is deceased, you're more than welcome to, uh, not welcome, that didn't sound right. I said that wrong, but it's not unusual at all for the family to go and identify a body. I mean, that's just normal procedure, usually. So I'll switch off slide in just a second. Tony is acquitted on all charges in April of 2012. Um, he was wrongfully convicted for over 10 years. Over 10 years. So at Dawn's funeral, her parents noticed that Dawn didn't look natural. They noted that they believed Dawn's face had some swelling and some abnormal looking marks, which may have indicated a struggle. So is this what the coroner didn't want him to know? Is this what the coroner was hiding? Like, all these people seem to be in cahoots with each other. It's just crazy. In 2014, she reached out to uh, Viola. Mr. Viola reached out to Ed and Karen, her parents, via a letter expressing his gratitude for their daughter, her brave choice to help him overturn a conviction. Eventually, the Paselas agreed to provide Viola with affidavits attesting to all the prosecutorial misconduct Dawn told them she witnessed and participated in, as well as the intimidation she faced in the weeks prior to her death. Judge Daniel Gull, who presided over the trial, expressed his dismay at Viola's situation in a letter that he wrote to Tony. I do have that. That I do have. I do have that to show you. Give me a second here. I think this is it. I do have some stuff. So give me a second and I will share this with you, because this one for sure. Give me a second. I know, now you gotta see my face. Sorry. I'm sorry, but I'll get it off my face here soon. So this is the letter. Let me make sure you are seeing this. Yes, so many things. I'm not. I got to share it with you. There we go. Hopefully y'all can see that. And I'll leave it up for just a second. But I'll go ahead and read to you all kind of what it says. This was dated on February the 17th, 2017. Dear Tony, I hope you're well as a person can be in a federal prison. I just thought I would write to express my feelings of regret on your continued incarceration. I had hoped that your exoneration in my courtroom had assisted you in overturning your federal conviction. So he was acquitted on state charges, not the federal charges. In any case, I'm writing to inform you that there is a newly elected, I can't pronounce that county, prosecutor. His name is Mike O'Malley. His office may be willing to take a fresh look at Daniel Casares' misconduct in your case. If Casares participated in your federal case, O'Malley's office may be able to intervene or at least support a post-release remedy before Judge Nugent. Anyway, this is just a thought. Please let me know if I may assist you in any way. I regard you as an extremely decent man, and I hope you will have your conviction overturned. Sincerely, Daniel Gall, Judge. So, the judge even knew that this was not normal. This was definitely, he was wrong. And I know, I'm going to see my face again. Sorry. Give me a second. Let me go back to where I'm trying to get to. Okay, give me a second here. This is the wonderful judge. And there's, like I said, these are small pictures, so they're not that big. They were thumbnails I had to pull from the computer or from the internet. Uh, that's Judge Gull. Um, there's Tony. There's Dan Casares, and then poor Dawn. There's Dawn and her father. I'm just trying to show you all a few pictures. There's Dawn and her puppy. And I showed you all her. There's another good picture of Dawn. Um, Give me a second here. I know, I'm going to take you back to the slideshow so you don't have to sit and look at me as much. Get back to my files here. So, I thought that was pretty big of him to do that. After the current investigator reviewed documents and spoke with the pathologist who performed the original post-mortem exam, Detective John Morgan recommended the Sheriff's Department locate the missing cell phones, identify the person who owned Texas phone number that's listed, which they give you the phone number and everything, and try to identify who attempted to call Dawn who Dawn attempted to call at 4:39 in the morning, which we don't think was her. After serving 9 years of his 12 and a half years federal sentence, Tony is released on house arrest. In 2019, U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit rejected the Justice Department's claims that it was not required to search the task force location for evidence prior to Tony's first trial. I have that letter too. Give me a second. I know, I got everything with this case. I brought out all the stops with this case, guys. I'm telling you. This is her letter. I probably will create a zip file with all these documents in it for you guys. But I've got her letters. There's so many letters. There's so many. I'm just going to share some of these with you because you know what? These are all so important. They really, really are. And I'm going to run out of time, I know, on this case because it is such a huge case. It's such a huge case. Let me pull up this and make sure that's what you're going to see when I share it. No, I hit the wrong button because I'm losing my mind tonight. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to share this one. I think this will work. Yes, that's what I want. Okay, so this one is. Oh, hold on. You can't say it, can you? Sorry. Um, this one is basically. Hold on here. I have no idea why it looks like that. So this one is basically Dawn's. Basically her contract with them. And I did read through this. Like I said, I'm gonna have to make a file for you guys. It basically tells what her general manager position is, operations, uh, all what all she's done. This is her resume basically. And this is from Daniel Casares to Michael O'Malley and McCohen Hayden. Uh, Don Pasela is being hired by our office. She currently is a contract employee of the Attorney General. She works over the task force building. She will be in sometime in the next few days to fill out her paperwork. Her hire date is July the 1st. Final witness this year is Monday, April the 16th at 11:34 at night. Uh, Daniel Casares sends this email to a Tony Topaz, which he's not mentioned, but this one time. So, okay, she has a right to have an attorney court appointed for her to represent her. If you confer with John, I am sure he will agree. If I do not raise that issue with the judge and she testifies and admits to being on painkillers or whatever she was on and admits other things and is then indicted, all sorts of problems would exist. This is terrible, terrible writing to be an attorney. Therefore, in the abundance of caution, I would suggest that he appoint an attorney for her to deal with her drug abuse issues, as well as whatever crime she may have committed after she was fired. The purpose of the hearing will be to ascertain if she needs a lawyer. She can't testify without an attorney unless she does not want one. She will be asked incriminating questions and may incriminate herself. And continuing with these emails, 3 witnesses left: Michelle Crissy, Steve Greenwald, and Don Pasela. Gibbons was going to get with all of them. We're trying to have them there first thing. If they don't show, we'll move to my testimony. If Dawn does not show, I'll ask for a hearing after a trial to figure out what, if anything, she knows about computers or discovery. And then this is from that Topaz again. Thank you. I have to ask the judge to appoint an attorney to represent Don Pasala because she has Fifth Amendment rights and issues like Greenwald and Fairfield. Just an FYI, I think I mentioned that on the record at least twice. She was fired for refusing a drug test in late May 2011 when she was clearly stoned, staggering down the hallway by her office, eyes rolling back in her head, slurred, groggy speech. So there's an issue with respect to which drugs she may have been abused that day. In addition to the issues surrounding her breaching a statutory mandated confidentiality agreement she signed with the Attorney General, which she apparently broke. She is apparently subject to prosecution for both of the above issues. Dear Mr. Viola, I'm responding to your public records request. I just want to make sure y'all are still seeing this. Okay. Look, I'm just going to leave these up and let y'all read through them because if I sit and read through these, we will be here for a while. And I don't have but a little bit more time before basically I'm going to be shut off here. So there's lots and lots of stuff on this case. My gosh, we haven't even got to the gist. We've not even hit the nail on the head yet in this case. Okay, I already changed. So I'm going to go back to sharing. I'll figure out a way to share these documents with you guys because, like I said, if I sit and read all these documents, My Lord, we're going to be here for a while. And honestly, don't have time. Who's pretty picky. Yeah, YouTube, I mean, is pretty picky on trying to keep the time constraints uh, down to the minimal that they want. Like, they don't want you to be more than an hour. Where's that? Oh my gosh, I got 50 things popping up on my computer. Okay, so let's get back to do this real quick, like what I can quickly for you guys. Marty, who was Dawn's ex boyfriend, I believe, or current boyfriend. But in late April, early May, they noted her appearance at the funeral. Tony reaches out to her parents. This was in 2014. I'm just going to skim through the timeline real quick and then we'll talk about everything. The judge, uh, we've seen where he contacted Tony. He's released on house arrest in May of 2020. 2019 present, there's all kinds of new legal developments in this case, and we probably don't even know the half of them yet. In June of 2022, Tony shares an update. Um, there's a lot of people starting to get involved now. The county sheriff's department, the law school. Mark Bennett, he faces disbarment in June 14th of 2023. Then Tony gets a letter in 2023 saying they need more evidence to do this. 4:30, there's a rally for 4:30 p.m. on August the 30th. They have a rally for justice for Dawn. They have a second one on November 1st of 2023. And her boyfriend, I'm not sure if it's her boyfriend or her ex-boyfriend. He wouldn't comment on his relationship with her. Anyway, Marty refuses to speak. And then there is a reward announced on February 28th, 2024. Marty was asked by a private investigator, Robert Frederick, to comment on his relationship with Dawn and his strange behavior at the funeral. But he refused to answer questions. During the second trial, Dan Casares and another individual showed up at Ed and Karen's home, claiming they wanted those computers again. Ed, of course, like I said, he wouldn't let them have them. April the 1st, Tony is found guilty. I've already covered that part for you guys. Uh, like I said, there's cell phone records. Apparently, there was two phones that were also found. I remember reading that somewhere, but I'm not quite sure. Let me get back to where I was at here. So eventually, the Paselas agreed to provide Viola with affidavits testing to all of the prosecutor misconduct. Dawn told them she witnessed and participated in. Those documents will be included too. Like I said, I'll have to figure out a way to share those with you guys. I may have to create like a zip file and share like a drive file with you, so y'all can look at those. Or I can probably provide. I don't know. I'll figure out a way to share these with you because these are all important stuff. So Dawn told them that she witnessed all this stuff. She told her parents she was very open with them, and as well as the intimidation that she had faced. Uh, After serving 9 years of his 12 and a half years of federal sentence, like I said, he was released on house arrest in 2019. They said there wasn't enough evidence required to overturn. Uh, in early 2020, the Justice Department admitted to lying about evidence in Tony's case. And in July 2020, the FBI admitted to making materially false statements about this same evidence. In 2022, they blamed the federal prosecutor, Mark Bennett, for false statements about evidence. Bennett was then fired by the Justice Department um, and is currently undergoing disbarment proceedings. I'm not sure if he's been disbarred yet. I forgot to look at that. I will have to look that up. Tony Viola has pleaded with the courts to refer to the proper authorities the misconduct concerning Dawn, the affair between Casares and Clover. So Dawn, that Catherine that we showed you the picture of, or I showed you the picture of, was in a relationship with Dan Casares, and Dan was married. Yeah, whole big another web of stuff. So, in his appellate brief, which has been posted in the freetonybiola.com evidence locker, that's where you can find all these documents. So that is what I can share with you guys. And I will do that. I will post that. freetonybiola.com. And then you go under evidence locker and you'll be able to read all these legal documents that I found. I had to do some digging, but I found them. Uh, and that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to really start getting deep into these cases, and some of them are probably going to take me. I might have to do a couple different episodes with some of these cases. Okay, so they asked for the voice recordings made by Dawn and the emails from the prosecutor Mark and Dan to the government witness Catherine, who'd been admitted committed perjury at Tony's trial. This case is just... So the Ohio Supreme Court hears arguments regarding disbarring former Assistant U.S. Attorney Mark Bennett. So he was the assistant prosecuting or U.S. Attorney, Don's previous boss. Bennett could temporarily lose his ability to practice law for 6 months based on the allegations of inappropriate sexual advances towards an intern. The United States Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit responded to the Viola versus United States Department of Justice, asking both parties to provide more information, saying they didn't have enough information. The FOIA request submitted against the Cuyahoga County Mortgage Fraud Task Force responses are due within 21 days of the date that they were ordered. So Don's family and friends host those rallies. I said, this is just, there's Don, there's Tony, who was wrongfully convicted. There's the two people that... Here's kind of a map layout. I didn't label this one very good, but this map is the different areas. So this is where she was living in this area, and this is where she was working, which I guess it's not that far. I don't know. Here's some more documents, which you can always screenshot, pause and screenshot these if you want to read them. These are the one that's saying that they needed more evidence. And this is the one from the judge. I know, I'm trying. These are the documents that were released from the FBI and Department of Justice admitting to the inaccuracies that got Tony released from early prison. Here's another breakdown. This is kind of just a timeline, kind of what we went over. This is where I pulled a lot of my information, or some of my information. There's now a $10,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of suspect in Don's murder. Yes, they have now labeled it as a murder. Don was definitely, yeah, it's crazy. So I'm going to take you back to my base again for a few minutes. I've got about 5 minutes here. So there's just a lot of stuff that wrapped around this case. I haven't dug much into Tony's case particularly. I do want to do a lot of more cases that are really deep like this. That's still basically open. I mean, this one's not necessarily a cold case because the reward was actually just updated on February the 28th of this year. So, with that being said, look for more cases like this. Look for more deep dives into these cases. I will definitely be doing a lot more like this, as well as missing kids, missing persons, missing people. Uh, and I know this case was focused. This live stream was focused on Don's case, which is a very deep case. But real quick before we leave here, uh, I just want to just I do want to remind you that this young man is still missing, and I want to share his picture with you guys again. 3-year-old little boy that's still missing. Elijah View from Twin uh, Twin Rivers, I believe that's what it says. Well, I gotta find it. I want a big picture. I can't find a big picture. I'll just share the screen with you. I'll just share it with you real quick, and then I will be ready to wrap things up with you guys. So, if you're from Wisconsin area, oops, wrong one. Sorry. I really don't know what I'm doing. Y'all gonna think. Elijah's case, I will cover that case too. I will do more on that case here when I can. Just have to. I'm trying to wait and see what the ultimate outcome is. Right now, he's missing. Mom and boyfriend are in jail. That's the gist of it, and the punishments that they were going to of this poor little boy. So please remember his face if you're in Wisconsin. Please share that too. Michael, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's really possible that it's very possible. Like I said, I'm still going to be digging into a lot more of these cases. There's so many more. There's so many more cases. Like there's so many missing people. I don't know. Did you get to watch this whole thing, or are you just joining? Because this one here is a pretty interesting case. And I've already used up my hour. Make sure if you all like these and you want to get more videos like this, hit that notification bar. Also, like and subscribe. Everything helps. I do not get paid from YouTube. Uh, I don't. I do have a Cash App set up if anybody does want to support. Uh, Show me support to help me out. I can pay for my. I do have to pay for different streaming services and everything. Yeah, I have to pay for different streaming services and everything to be able to do these screen shares and everything. So, no, I'm not asking for anybody. They don't have to, but if you do want to support me, you can. But make sure you subscribe. And Michael, you're gonna have to go back and rewatch this case because this one's pretty interesting. I'm getting ready to share that link that y'all can go read some of these documents as well. And then, other than that, I thank you all so much for your time. I thank you for your support. I'm really starting to get to really involved with these, and I am going to be doing a deep dive into Miss Audrey Cunningham. I'm just trying to give the family some time to mourn, kind of following this, as I would like to do the deep dive so we can have updates throughout the trial for her, because that was just a sad situation. Other than that, I thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate all the support I get. It all means a lot, and I really just enjoy doing this. And don't worry, right? We haven't given up on our adventures either. We're going to be doing some more of those too. Right now, the winter time, this has kind of been my focus. Also, I've started to doing some quick ones over on TikTok. I can't do lives over there yet because I have to have 1,000 followers. Find me on TikTok on Vanished Voices. Then also on my Facebook page. Other than that, that's all I have for you guys. Y'all have a great night. And please keep your eye out and please make sure you let me know if there's any of these cases that any case that you think of that you'd like for me to cover. And Michael, I know we're getting ready to have some updates, possibly the Crystal's case, I think. I'm not sure. I think they set a trial date for Easter Hawks. So have a great night, everyone, and I'll see you next time.